How is everybody doing?
There we go, the traditional flyby. And Sebastian Vettel.
How is everybody doing this morning?
Gathered at the front again after the anthem. And I think a guard of honour there is going to be for the four-time world champion. As you can see, he is just one of the biggest characters, one of the most popular people up and down this paddock. Is Sebastian Vettel, and we've been seeing it on a number of occasions today. It is the longest of farewells for him.
Yeah, and honestly, I wish him so much well, and so much goodwill for this race. You have to remember, Formula One, we make a lot of fuss and there's a lot of entertainment stuff. This is a really serious business. You have to focus. You have to think about safety. You have to race as hard as you can. He wants the best result you can get, and ultimately to go out in style.
Toto Wolff's with us now as we watch these images of Sebastian Vettel. You know what it takes, and you know what makes a great champion. He was certainly one of them, wasn't he, Toto?
Yeah, he was. He set the bar high, the way he worked, and he got himself in a position that he was in the best car. Outscored everyone 4 times in a row. That was really, really impressive.
So, a bit of a change in the weather here in Abu Dhabi. It's been, I'm touching the tarmac, and it's actually stone cold. I mean, this is like the first time. It's not hot.
The conditions have been changing so much that we had a really competitive car when it was hot. And I was saying, I'm not sure this is going to be good in the evening because it's much colder and we were not so competitive. So it changes all the way around. So I think Team Engineers made a car that's good for the race, and hopefully we can translate that.
So with Red Bull and Ferrari really working on that P2 in the the Drivers' Championship, can you capitalise on that and try something a little different with strategy? Hopefully those two are going to keep each other busy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, try to have our best possible race, and we're gonna do the best possible race, try to beat the Ferraris for P2 in the Constructor Championship. If not, learn the most.
Top man, thanks, Toto. Appreciate it. Let's go to Ted, who's at Carlos Sainz's car.
Did you just steal a microphone?
The Ferrari view on this, and their view is that this fight with Mercedes is really the most critical. There are 2 fights today as Ferrari is concerned. First of all, the Constructors' fight, in which Ferrari is 19 points ahead of Mercedes for second place in the Constructors' Championship. And then there is a fight between Charles Leclerc, who, let's not forget, led the World Championship earlier on in the season, and Sergio Perez, who's coming up hard on the rails to overtake him for P2 in the drivers. So Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz here, just about to put his balaclava on, have a big job to do, because it's Ferrari's priority to close out the Constructors' Championship battle with Mercedes. They say whatever happens with Charles Leclerc, if he can get P2 or secure it off Sergio Perez, who of course starts in front of him on the grid, that would be nice. But Ferrari are making no bones about it. Let's just have a quick look at Charles Leclerc as we finish with Carlos Sainz. Make no bones about it, Ferrari need that P2 in the Constructors, and that is their aim, to stay ahead of Ferrari, and that is going to be a difficult task for them. But Charles Leclerc looks up for it as far as we can tell on the grid. He looks very relaxed.
It's on TV, yes.
Well, too, today is Ross Brawn. Ross, I suppose at long last, the lure of the river and fishing was just too much, was it?
How are you doing today, Winval? How are you doing?
It's been fantastic last few years, different side of the business, but I've really, really enjoyed it. See the cars race the way they can, see how healthy Formula 1 is. So it's a good time to stop.
I reckon you'll probably start looking at the regulations for fishing now. You reckon, Ross?
No, I've already done that. I'm on the case.
It's a well-trodden path.
So Ross, we spent a bit of time together, but you've had such a long, illustrious career in this sport. From winning world championships, having your own team and winning the world championship, and also from the other side, it must feel very special being here at your last working race.
Well, the highlight was always 2009, of course. So, yeah, but I'll look back very fondly, and it's the people in Formula 1, the friendships you create, they'll never stop. So, I think I'll always be able to walk down the pit lane.
Thank you so much, Ross. Thanks for everything. We really appreciate it. Best of luck in a well-deserved retirement. Let's bring in Christian Horner. We've got shots there of your former driver, Sebastian Vettel. Let's just start with that. He brought so much joy, so much success to your team. How do you sum up his legacy?
I got Dunkin' Donuts.
Everything that he did in the sport.
we grew together. Him within the team, and those 4 World Championships were very, very special. And whatever he chooses to do in the future, he can be very, very proud of everything that he did.
Qatar bribed 7 Ecuador players $7.5 million for a win of 1-0 in a second half of today's game. That's not surprising to me.
If this could be the day, what do you have to do? What can Max do?
All the others.
No, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
So look, and Ferrari are going to go aggressive. Mercedes, don't underestimate.
It's all about the money.
We've got to run our race the best we can, and get our heads down and try and get away cleanly and get stuck into the race.
Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it. Let's just quickly go to George Russell.
I think it's going to be tight between us and Ferrari. I think Max, especially, is going to be a little bit too far ahead. But we'll do everything we can with strategy and whatnot to get ahead.
Very well.
Thank you.
Last year's race winner, of course, would love to finish with flourish, as would they all, including those that are making way for others on the grid in 2023. Here we go then. The sun is beginning to set on both the season and here in Abu Dhabi. The race is next.
What kind? I got. What kind did I get? I got the Munchkins assorted, 10 of them, and then I got a glazed donut, a glazed chocolate donut, a chocolate frosted donut, a sprinkles donut, and a strawberry frosted donut, and then a sprinkles. Jeez, that's more than 6. That's. And then a blueberry glazed donut. Jesus, I don't even order that stuff. That's more than I ordered.
Their attorneys are not in central New York and not in the southern tier. At Alexander & Associates, we've lived here and we've worked here. You can walk into my office, talk to your attorney, and see your work being done right here. I'm attorney James Alexander, the heavy hitter, and we believe that being here makes all the difference.
You're tired? You're having potatoes for lunch?
Presented exclusively by Mother's Polish.
For those of you watching F1 on Sky Q and Sky Glass, then Sky Race Recap allows you to quickly catch up on all the key moments from a Grand Prix weekend. So if you join late and have missed any of the action, or simply want to go back and watch the best bits once again, then you can. All you have to do is hit the red button on your Sky Q, or the button with the 4 colours on your Sky Glass remote, and select Race Recap. A timeline of events will appear that you can navigate through, including the start, overtakes, and all the crucial moments. So whether it's before, during, or after the race, Sky Sports F1 is the go-to destination for all the best F1 news, views, and action.
The Falcon. Focus. A hunter.
Brilliant drive.
Fearless. Speed. Agility. Power.
Verstappen swoops into the lead.
Dominating its prey.
Thanks, Verstappen. You are world champion.
The fastest on earth.
Fell asleep listening to the USC football game. Isn't that the one where they upset Tennessee? I'm sad Sebastian Vettel is retiring. Me too. And, I mean, there's also no promise that Daniel Ricciardo will be back too, so this could be his final race, which is sad. Oh, it was USC versus UCLA. Oh yeah, South Carolina is the one who upset Tennessee yesterday.
Here we go then for one last time in 2022. Welcome to the final round of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Now the championship might be decided, but 3 drivers go into this race with a chance of finishing as runner-up to Max Verstappen this year. His teammate Sergio Perez and Red Bull have never had a 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc, who's currently second in the championship.
Oh yeah, Mick is gone.
Russell,
and who else?
Perez both to falter whilst he wins with the fastest lap. We'll see
I know
what happens
Sebastian's
there.
retiring, obviously. There's no guarantee that Daniel Ricciardo will be back. He won't be back with McLaren. And then Mick is leaving Haas. I don't know who else is leaving.
Championship here last year. Max Verstappen late on the brakes and snatching the championship trophy out of Lewis Hamilton's grasp. Hamilton had been under a lot of pressure from Sergio Perez earlier in the race. This overtake proved crucial. Perez holding up Hamilton and reducing the advantage that Hamilton had, well, by about 10 seconds during the middle part of the race. Hamilton and Verstappen then going wheel to wheel into turn 9, the parabolica, and coming out of it, Verstappen could start to think about that first World Championship trophy. He's come on to win another one since, and this year by a very comfortable margin. Now we've got 3 tyre compounds. C5 is the soft and it doesn't last very long. C4 the medium, C3 the hard. The team's hoping that degradation isn't too high and they can maybe get away with a 1-stop race, but if it is, it's definitely a 2-stopper. Those mediums might just come in rather handy. Here's then the grid for the final race in 2022. Williams, for the 3rd time in 6 races, the slowest 2 cars. Latifi on his final race for Williams starts last. Alex Albon alongside. It's a 200th Grand Prix start for Valtteri Bottas alongside Pierre Gasly. Ahead of these two, Kevin Magnussen, pole sitter in Sao Paulo, knocked out in Q1 this weekend. And Joe Guan Yu, the one rookie on the grid, starts 15th. Lance Stroll, 14th, his worst Abu Dhabi start since 2018. Daniel Ricciardo gets a 3-place grid penalty for his crash in Sao Paulo. Kevin Magnussen, Mick Schumacher is 12th, and Yuki Tsunoda will start.
Oh yeah, Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso might not come back.
Alonso 10th, Vettel in his last race starts 9th, with Esteban Ocon ahead of him. And Lando Norris 7th in the championship and 6 7th places this season. Is 7th.
Oh wait, no, yeah, Alonso will be back next year. I forgot.
All 3rd row Mercedes. It's an all 2nd row Ferrari. Carlos Sainz 4th and Charles
Joe Guan Yu might be gone.
Then it's Sergio Perez 2nd, his 5th front row start of the season.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Latifi. Nicholas Latifi. I think they're gonna call up Logan Sargent, who is the American prospect test driver in the Williams system. It'd be cool to see an American driver in F1.
He's been driving beautifully of late as well, especially since he announced his retirement. The pressure on the natural juices and talents flow, as you pointed out, it's a bit of a Noah's Ark grid.
Sergeant F2.
Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz. Let's hope that's a more challenging order when it comes to the Grand Prix. The top 15.
I mean, I was watching Logan Sargent in free practice yesterday, and that was fun. Just to see an American driver in an F1 car again is cool, but I want to see them in an actual race. He was in Formula 2, yeah. He's a test driver right now, and he's probably going to be called up next year.
As you put away on the formation lap to help your start fractionally.
You can already see Max Verstappen just edging his Red Bull to.
I have seen your TikToks. All right, here we go.
It's the first time this season that we've had 2x2x2 in terms of the big 3 on the grid. So, is it team orders at the start for the top 3, or are all drivers free to race?
Well, I think without doubt, Perez on the
inside.
All right.
may be concerned with Leclerc.
Oh wait, yeah, that's right. They do the formation lap. I keep forgetting that shit.
You can just sweep through much
I'm so stupid.
It's much more open to you.
They start doing the countdown, and I'm like, all right, we're getting ready to go, and then they're just doing the formation lap.
It's a tricky first couple, it's actually quite fast. And you don't really then, it's very much single file then until you get down to the bottom of the hill in turn 5 and then down the back straight. What we witnessed in the Formula 2 races is huge amounts of tire marbles, we call them, where they fly off little discarded pieces of rubber, and it's ended up being a bit of a goat track down the back straight with sort of almost one line at a time.
So 246 days after we began in Bahrain, we get to the final race of the season, the longest season in F1 history, and next year we'll have 2 more races added to the calendar as well, assuming that we do go to China, and we definitely go to Las Vegas. A 24-race season to come next year, and there's confirmation of the starting tyres. No surprises that most are going on the medium. Pierre Gasly on the soft is a really interesting selection. It might not last long, but he could get some overtaking done in the early stages, and if it's a 2-stop strategy, round about lap 16 or lap 14, that's where the pit window will open.
Yeah, you'd sort of look around and wonder if you've done the wrong thing, though, wouldn't you? You're the only driver on those tyres, a little bit like Charles Leclerc in qualifying in Brazil a week ago.
So at least he's not on the intermediates for tonight. There is no chance of rain. There's the Drivers' Championship. Leclerc is ahead of Perez because he's won more races this season. Russell needs Leclerc and Perez not to score. He needs to win and get a fastest lap to get that second place. But he could become only the 3rd teammate in history to beat Lewis Hamilton over the course of a season. 20 points needed by Mercedes to overtake Ferrari. McLaren need a 4th and a 6th, they say, to beat Alpine. And if Sebastian Vettel could get a top 6, that might be good for Aston Martin. And their battle, of course, with Alfa Romeo, and an extra $12 million to the team for an extra place in the championship. It counts for a lot, just getting one extra place.
Handy night out, isn't it? $12 million for the team. So they'll stay on the grippier, the racing line to the left as late as they can.
Why is CNBC a sponsor? By the way, MSNBC is a Microsoft NBC? I did not know that.
Halfway down the straight, and that's why you see the
Microsoft had a deal with NBC for years.
Going on there.
Tia Binotto just trying to get a look as the cars line up on the grid. Down in Red Bull, they've not been used to having their cars lock out the front row. Their first since Mexico 2018 in Stetson hats for Daniel Ricciardo.
All right.
As he waves goodbye to McLaren and ends that run of 232 consecutive starts in Formula One. One of 4 drivers who we could be saying goodbye to, 3 of which have the potential to come back again. And Norbert Vettel watching on as his son makes one final start.
All right.
The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Green flag.
Away we go, and I think Sergio Perez got a slightly better getaway. He's coming out, Max Verstappen now. Behind him, they're all squabbling with Charles Leclerc in 3rd place. Max Verstappen leads then from Sergio Perez, then comes Charles Leclerc, and then comes...
Who I got winning? I got Max.
George Russell seems to have lost a place to Lando Norris right at the start. They'll head now down towards the hairpin. The 2 Red Bulls getting away rather.
But I'd love to see Leclerc get it.
Down the inside on Sergio Perez.
I mean, the championship's already locked up, so that doesn't matter. The championship was locked up like a month ago, so that's irrelevant. But
in a straight line.
Hamilton can't quite get near him because down the inside now comes Carlos Sainz on Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh.
Sainz just squeezes Hamilton, who goes
Oh.
on the rumble strip and launches into the air. Sainz goes past, Leclerc goes past, Hamilton keeps the place, but like last year, he went off the track.
Mercedes,
yeah, it was so reminiscent of him and Max, wasn't it, on the first lap last year? But it looked a fair enough overtake to me from the Ferrari.
Esteban Ocon around the outside, George Russell on the inside, Russell ahead then in the Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton now all over the rear wing of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Out in front, it's still Max Verstappen ahead of Sergio Perez, then Leclerc, then comes Hamilton, who's had a very eventful first 3 miles of this Grand Prix.
And did he do any damage to the underneath of the car? So Lewis is having a look at the inside of one Ferrari and has joined a little love tap there as it went past, but the door was open and he drove the Ferrari through it.
I think he'll say, Martin, that he had no option but to go off the track because there was no room for him. But we'll see what race control and the stewards say on that one. Valtteri Bottas right at the back in his 200th Grand Prix start. Not had the best of starts. Latifi on the medium tyres already ahead of him. Albon has made places up to 17th.
Well, up on the compute screen here, it's about forcing another driver off the track, it says. So they're obviously looking at Sainz.
We're talking him. He needs to give me super upset. He did exactly the same last year with Verstappen.
And race control won't tell the drivers or the teams to give a place back. It's up to them to sort it out. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo on the inside of Mick Schumacher, trying to make the move himself. An awful lot more cleanly than we saw with Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. Ricciardo back up then to 13th. Alex Albon, without Williams, faster in a straight line than a lot of other cars, is looking to make more progress in these early stages too. And you can see as the cars come into view, he's got past Kevin Magnussen. Now Pierre Gasly down the inside on Nicholas Latifi is up into 18th.
So no
I guess they're not going to do anything about
explanation
Sainz
on
forcing
Sainz.
Hamilton
He did
off
not
the track.
force him off the track. Therefore, you have to assume that he won the place fair and square. Should be giving it back.
And Google like tires look good on Ricardo's car. I want to see.
We're on lap 2, and it's a second the advantage that Verstappen has over Perez as they've crossed the line. Behind them, Lewis Hamilton within 7/10 of Charles Leclerc as DRS is now enabled. They are looking to enable that a lap earlier for next year, but you've got to wait 2 laps in 2022. Sainz has lost the place then in the opening exchanges. Norris up a place, Russell down a place, Stroll's made up 2 places. Mick Schumacher has lost a couple of places. That midfield has been very, very tight in qualifying. Effectively, lots of swapping around as this race goes on, but it starts to settle down now. And Verstappen, second ahead of Perez. Perez just coming back with DRS there. And this could be crucial for Red Bull, Martin. If Verstappen can keep giving DRS advantage to Perez, keeps him further away from Leclerc.
Yeah, it means Perez is following quite closely and hurting his tyres. They are now looking at Hamilton leaving the track and gaining an advantage. I think Lewis, if Sainz is not penalised, then Lewis has to give the place back, would be my view, but let's wait and see. But yes, Max can help Sergio Perez there, without doubt. Just keep him, as you say, in the DRS range, especially while they're just managing tyres at the beginning of the Grand Prix, and help drag him away from his arch rival in the championship, Charles Leclerc.
Thought Perez got away faster than Verstappen. Seems that Verstappen was 400.
Donuts review. They
the,
are
gap.
fucking good!
Behave themselves going through turn 1, but Lando Norris very nicely getting ahead of George Russell.
Yeah, Lando having a super end to the season as well, isn't he, in terms of just showing his potential. There was the move that Leclerc made. It's a little bit of a half-hearted one, that then put him on his back foot. So now Hamilton in his slipstream, a sandwich between the 2 Ferraris. And let's watch this unfold. So Sainz is getting a lovely double slipstream there. Lewis is watching the Ferrari in front, and the Ferrari behind him makes a move, makes it stick. It was a little bit of a mugging with the, and this is what the stewards are now looking at. He went off the track and then regained the position. So the door's open. Oh, that's where it might have damaged underneath the car. But Lewis will say he was forced wide. The stewards have now said he wasn't. There, those horrible orange curbs.
Oh yeah, those Google tires are sick.
Lewis then just bolts directly to go, and let's see what the stewards think about that. Karun.
2 seconds, Karun.
Blueberry glazed. Oh my god, this looks so good.
Back to Sainz.
And there it goes. Carlos Sainz.
And it is so good.
Hamilton, back up into 4th place. The position has given back. Karun, you've been monitoring the team radio. Was there any further exchanges?
Yeah, it was more from the Ferrari side. They were still lobbying with the FIA. They said to Carlos, we are still discussing, we're still pushing. Clearly, it took a little while to get there, but they managed to make a convincing argument.
Yeah, but that message, you know, we've been told to give the place back. I thought race control were actually saying, no, we're not going to do that this year. You can sort it out yourselves. And we had a situation in Austin, I think, didn't we, with Pierre Gasly, where he actually picked up a penalty. No one told him to give the place back, and the stewards then said, you should have done. He got a penalty for his troubles.
You're right, they did say that. They said, you know, we'll leave it up to you, to be fair, but we'll then make a decision on how you act and react.
Well, no decision made by the stewards, but race control say give the place back, and that place might then swap around a bit in a moment, because Hamilton will have DRS then down this back straight behind Carlos Sainz, and as you can see, with an extra 15 kilometres an hour advantage, Hamilton is getting closer and closer, and they're going wheel to wheel into that chicane, and Sainz just ahead.
Hi, Daniel.
Braking. Hamilton then getting a very good exit out of that.
How are you doing this morning?
The steward saying no further action, leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So they're satisfied, everything has been done, and now Hamilton has got a car length ahead of Carlos Sainz, and a lap later he is back ahead of the Ferrari, and this time he shouldn't.
So Hamilton passed Sainz once again,
wasn't it? So that's a little bit odd, isn't it? No further action leaving the track and gaining advantage. So it must have been the teams making that decision. But then Lewis got a double dose of drag reduction system, and through he went. And through he went quite easily, and that suggests to me that George Russell is going to do the same reasonably quickly as well.
Russell's ahead of Lando Norris, two Mercedes making a move on lap 5 of the race and making the move out in front. 2.4 seconds near enough now. The advantage Verstappen has over Perez. He kept him within DRS range for a lap. That has now disappeared. Ted, let's head down to you.
Don't read your comment, I will. Now, if I see glazed donuts, I think someone redacted, huh?
We'll see how long it takes for Lewis Hamilton to close on Charles Leclerc and challenge for an overtake. But meantime, out front, the Red Bulls are just starting to get their payment cards ready, give their room keys in, and check out of this race. Sergio Perez has been told, just look after the tyres at this point. But they're already 8 tenths, well, 3 or 4 tenths, nearly half a second quicker, both Red Bulls, than Charles Leclerc behind them per lap. Given their pace over the long runs on Friday during FP2, it's not just to get their checkout sorted, they can have room service while they're doing it. They did look very, very menacing in terms of their pace, but there's a long way to go. We're only on lap 6, and here comes George Russell and Carlos Sainz under pressure once again. They come perilously close, don't they, going into turn 9.
There's probably something very inappropriate.
Out a little bit. Try and find another way to get past Sainz.
Yeah, but it was interesting to me that Russell could pick his line and then change his mind in turn 9 as the Ferrari was scrabbling around for grip. Super fast are those two Mercedes at the moment, so this is quite quickly, I believe, going to turn into a Red Bull versus Mercedes battle when it all settles out. But Russell handy as well.
I see what you're saying.
To just change direction.
Yeah, that's kind of where I thought you were going with it.
The teams coming into this race was it's a 1 or a 2 stopper.
Lewis needs to pick up the pace so it doesn't give Sainz DRS. Ferrari's are slow, we can beat them.
Yeah, Russell seeing that Carlos Sainz at less than a second behind Lewis Hamilton is getting a bit of advantage that isn't helping George Russell in his attack. Yeah, the team's saying it's a 1 or a 2 stopper, and we'll only know that after the first stint or during the first stint. If we get high deck, it's going to switch to a 2 stopper, and I get the feeling that the Ferrari is suffering with bigger degradation than the others.
Yeah, but of course, as George is pointing out there, the Ferrari rear wing is open because he's following Lewis Hamilton so closely that it's keeping him in play. But it's interesting that Sainz is coming back at Hamilton at this moment, and it looks as if Russell has just a bundle more speed available to him, but as long as he's not taking too much out of his tyres.
Here we go again. Carlos Sainz just started to gain on Lewis Hamilton into turn 9, and George Russell is right there, waiting to feast on the scraps. Meanwhile, Sebastian...
Are you disturbed now? No. I'm good. Daniel's just waking up. Me too. Well, I woke up an hour ago.
Man to look after his tyres and pick the right moments, and Aston Martin seems to have a decent pace with a bit of DRS help to put a challenge down. And Fernando Alonso behind Sebastian Vettel did exactly what he said he would, and make sure he looked after the man he's replacing at Aston Martin and his old friend during the first couple of laps. Hamilton went off the track, didn't he, last lap, by quite a way.
Yeah, so he's already had one notification of track limits, as has Leclerc and Norris and Sainz.
Soft tyres on Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri. Is that starting to struggle a bit? Nick Schumacher picking up the place and moving ahead of him into 16th. Alex Albon still ahead in the Williams, and a good start from him. Kevin Magnussen looking to make a move down the back straight next time they go. But let's have a look now at two Mercedes and a Ferrari, and once again Carlos Sainz has that DRS, that 15 km/h top speed.
I want them to bring back the V8s or the V10s or the V12s. Either one, I'd be happy.
DRS and a better exit through the corner as Lewis had to defend So you've got to expect the Ferrari to be in a great position here to overtake as they approach the turn 9, and he can sweep from the outside in and takes the place back again. That's now going to leave Lewis very vulnerable to his teammate.
And Sebastian Vettel into that same corner makes the move on Esteban Ocon and up into 8th place. Ocon is trying to come back at Vettel, as you can see, and says, thank you very much, I quite like 8th place, I'll keep on to it for a little bit more. But this is a super little tussle between Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel. Meanwhile, is Hamilton starting to struggle a bit with his tyres, or is there a bit too much downforce on that Mercedes so that their top speed has been compromised?
Lewis couldn't pull away, could he? I was surprised by that. I thought he'd have enough pace to...
Is anyone not on medium tires?
Certainly, given the ease with
Not.
which he passed
Oh,
him.
Pierre Gasly's on soft, Magnussen and Bottas are on hards.
George wants to know what's happening, if anything's happening with Lewis, but your free to race suggests that there isn't much happening and you're going to have to get the overtake done yourself, George. That's the message coming in from the Mercedes pit wall from Riccardo Mosconi, his teammate.
Oh yeah, they say it on there too.
I should say. Is George Russell going to get this done right now? Is he going to make the move on Lewis Hamilton? He's certainly going to try. Hamilton just preserves that inside line, but let's see the exit that Russell gets out of the chicane now, and turn 9 has already proved to be a corner where you can get some overtaking done. Russell picking up a slipstream, and with DRS2, pulls out the rear of his teammates Mercedes. George Russell powers his way past and up into 5th place by the time they hit turn 9.
Yeah, and Russell's job now is to break the DRS gap of 1 second, and Hamilton's job is to make sure he doesn't.
So Verstappen 2.5 seconds out in front. Leclerc 3 seconds behind in 3rd place, running a lonely race. Sainz has pulled away from the 2 Mercedes, and we can see once again how George Russell made that move on Lewis Hamilton. Certainly seems to have a lot more top speed advantage with the DRS.
I'm losing power, man. What's going on?
Karun Chandok at race.
I'm losing power, man.
Yeah,
come on, man, I'm losing power.
Conversation. They're trying a couple of different engine modes, but at the moment, they don't yet have a full solution. So, yeah, not good news for him.
Last lap for Lewis Hamilton was a 1:32.2. George Russell a 1:30.7, even with that DRS. Out in front, a 1:30.6 for Max Verstappen, who continues to extend his advantage. So let's look here at Ocon, Vettel, and Alonso.
So where are you guys, like, Winval, where are you watching this race on? Like, what channel? Or are you watching it on Abu Dhabi Sports, or? Because I'm watching it on ESPN too, but I'm just wondering, like, around the world, like, how people actually watch this. I know Sky Sports in some countries, but...
On Esteban Ocon, finished 8th in the last 2 Grand Prix and is hanging on to 8th place at the moment, but for how much longer? Vettel's coming at him again. Here comes that Aston Martin. Ocon's wondering which way to go here, and which way is Sebastian Vettel going to go? And he's going to try the long way round the outside, and then maybe...
Oh, you're just watching on this stream?
The Parabolica turns left and left and left, but Ocon preserving that 8th place. Meanwhile, Hamilton losing touch to his teammate George Russell. I wonder, Martin, after he went over the curb, is there damage to the underside of that Mercedes?
Or, possibly, or whether a sensor or something got damaged, because that's a massive shock load going into the very solid chassis. What can you tell us, Ted?
It certainly was a shock load. It would have been a shock load going through Lewis Hamilton's spine as well. But Mercedes say that they can't see any damage, either physically on the TV pictures like you can, or on the telemetry. So that's on the damage. And the power loss, they say, is just...
Mina Broadcasting Channel, aka NBC Action.
After using it all, defending from George Russell on Hamilton's car. They don't say there's ostensibly a problem, but let's see in a lap or two, because that is a slightly alarming loss of lap time, wasn't it? 2 seconds behind the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching there, Yuki Tsunoda just on the tail of Fernando Alonso, who's making his 150th appearance, his 149th and final start for the Edstone team after 3 visits under varying different guises, of course. Renault to start with in 03 and 06, 08 and 09, and Alpine. He's going to wave goodbye to the team that he won his 2 world championships with, and would dearly love to reward them with a decent performance here tonight. But at the moment, he's just hanging back a little bit. Can't quite match the speed of Sebastian Vettel, who can't quite get ahead and stay ahead of Esteban Ocon.
So what they're saying there with Lewis Hamilton is he deployed his battery heavily in defence. He's got to charge it up.
The pace is good. Their drag is also lower than expected. I don't agree.
So what they're seeing on the telemetry is not being felt on the 4 tyres of Carlos Sainz. Which happens though, Martin, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's obviously feeling that they're beginning to go away quite quickly, but Sainz 9.6 seconds off the lead. I mean, as Ted said, in many respects, Red Bull have checked out and are in management mode. Long way to go yet.
I don't know, y'all. Like, personally, I'm kind of against us racing in Abu Dhabi.
So racy.
In places like that, you know, with like, I don't really like that we race in places where there's like major human rights issues. Like, we should not be racing in Saudi Arabia. We should not be racing, you know, Abu Dhabi. We should not be racing in Russia, which they canceled their race. But yeah, there's just Azerbaijan. We should not be racing there.
Of course, Fernando did go on to finish the race. Sliding out the chicane there was Esteban Ocon. His tyres starting to go a little bit, I wonder. Didn't really get the grip. That might give Sebastian Vettel a really good chance of getting an overtake done here. He's been roared on by the grandstand. Sebastian Vettel tries to swoop round the outside. He's going wheel to wheel with Ocon. Can he keep it pace? Can he keep it fast enough? And just about keep it on the track, but not ahead of Esteban Ocon. What a cracking battle this is.
Yeah, Seb's going to have to go left, isn't he? Go down the left-hand side.
Who would you replace the tracks with?
2 tyres on the road. Because I
don't know. I mean, I don't even know which tracks are, you know, an what's the FIA grading system that you have to be in? Like, I don't know which tracks are eligible for here. I mean, we don't need 24 races, so you could get rid of 2 races, get rid of Azerbaijan, Abu Dhabi, and then Saudi Arabia you could replace with like fucking, I don't know.
And if you keep doing it, you'll take a 5-second penalty.
Which you could all afford, certainly given the pace of that Mercedes.
Go to like Switzerland or some shit. That'd be cool.
So 2 as Alex Albon pits for the first time.
Sorry, Ted, 2 seconds.
Okay, copy.
Yeah, Hamilton's still lapping in the 132s, George Russell in the 131.9s. So 3/10 a lap Hamilton is dropping with this issue. Whether it is an issue, we'll wait to see. But another team who's loving this, as well as Aston Martin, challenging the Alpines, is McLaren. Because
I'm assuming Pierre Gas is going to have to box any lap now.
Consider his strategy options. He's in a bit of a nowheresville. He's 3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton and 3 seconds in front of Esteban Ocon. So this is working out well for Lando Norris, this Aston Martin Alpine battle.
7th in the championship, that's where he will finish in the championship. Esteban Ocon is 8th and can't catch him. And he's, with the amount of 7th place finishes he's had this season, and it could be 7 at the end of tonight, he said he's considering changing his number on his car from 4 to 7 for next
Actually, I'll just go on Wikipedia. I know they have it. I know I've seen the list before.
Sure.
And Tsunoda's hanging on to this battle for AlphaTauri. Hamilton at 2 strikes, as we were talking about on his
grade 1. So that the grade 1, it means that it's.
Alonso looking fairly menacing there. He'll just be.
Yeah, go to Algarve. Go to Portugal. You know, that's a beautiful track. In Portugal.
Stroll's come in for an early pit stop.
Yeah, they should not be racing in Bahrain either.
So he's not behind a whole load of other cars, but it's very clear that Esteban Ocon is kind of the cork in the bottle at the moment. Vettel has pace but can't quite get ahead, and Alonso is very, very close now to the back of Sebastian Vettel. And if Lando Norris is doing well, McLaren need his teammate Daniel Ricciardo to be up there in the points as well, otherwise they'll never overtake.
Go to Fuji, yeah, that's an amazing track. Fuji, Hockenheimring.
And just getting away better.
They need to go back to Hockenheimring.
Aston Martin and Sebastian Vettel. Has Vettel got the pace to try and do something about Esteban Ocon once again?
Yeah, go to the South Korean Grand Prix, you know?
Too far back to make a move.
Yeah, and Fernando Alonso was staying well out of the slipstream there, presumably keeping his car a little bit cooler while he waits his turn. He's a wily old fox.
There's a lot better places that you could go to than, yeah, Red Bull Ring. I mean, we already go there, but...
Seconds clear out in front now to Carino.
This phase, think about plan B, I don't know.
Yeah, we're looking into that, mate.
Esteban.
We are so slow.
I was going to say, that's Esteban Ocon diving into the pits. That will help Sebastian Vettel and probably Fernando Alonso too. Careers at Sky Race Control.
Yeah, Coffee, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Alonso, they would have had an opportunity. If Ocon was the one struggling in pace, they could have used Alonso to undercut both of them. But they're clearly sticking with a plan.
Ocon and Tsunoda are in the pits.
First dibs on the strategy. That will not please the Spaniard, will it?
No, although they've been told to behave themselves for the last race and this race before they go their separate ways. They were very stern about that for Alpine. Out onto the track, Ocon comes out behind Latifi in the Williams.
Esteban Ocon leads the Alpine team next year. Fernando Alonso leads the Aston Martin team next year. So I think they're going to give preference to the man that's...
Some F1 tracks make no fucking sense to be racing at. You mean like based on just like how the track layout is, or do you mean like the venue? Like, there's no reason that we should be racing in fucking Saudi Arabia. Like, seriously. I know Lewis has complained about that a lot too, and honestly I agree with him.
Can't really see anybody at the moment. He's that far ahead. His teammate Sergio Perez has pitted though. And that is an earlier stop for Red Bull, maybe to cover off the threats of Ferrari trying to undercut them. Hard tyres going on once again for Perez and the Red Bull.
Yeah, and apparently Lewis, Karim's telling me Lewis is on the phone saying, my tyres are getting better. So maybe he's going to have a nurse them, and it depends on the balance of the car. Surprising that the fronts have gone for George Russell.
They're all coming into the pits now, aren't they? After Sergio Perez, George Russell, Lando Norris, Joe Guan Yu, all making pit stops. Russell's particularly slow there, 5.2 seconds stationary time for George Russell. And
yeah, Mercedes have carried them out into the pit lane and got back in momentarily when Russell was coming in. So it seems as if he turned up slightly unexpected as Sebastian Vettel gets his second warning for track limits.
And after pitting, Sergio Perez overtakes Sebastian Vettel. They're not really in a fight with that Red Bull, so Vettel didn't exactly put up too much of a scrap.
Perez outbraked himself when he got there.
He certainly did, and that's rather helped Sebastian Vettel there, because he's got a bit of TRS to try and go wheel to wheel, and then get back ahead of Sergio Perez. What he'd like is Fernando Alonso to stay behind Perez. That's exactly what has happened there.
Let Formula 2 and E race Saudi? No, like, not even them. Like, there's just no reason, like, we should not be giving these countries with, like, these major human rights issues, like, we should not be giving them, like, a platform, you know?
Out in front, the top 3 yet to pit, top 4 yet to pit.
Yeah, have a Moroccan Grand Prix. We could have Winval. I could send Winval out to the Moroccan Grand Prix to have him do some investigative reporting on how F1 really is.
They worked on the rear, and then Ted Kravitz, 2 seconds.
Caution. Yeah, oh good, I'm sorry.
He came out, Ted Kravitz, for Lando Norris to put into the
Good luck
mix.
with that one, George. Yeah, the slow stop of George Russell meant that Lando Norris had to stand on the brakes. There was a puff of tyre smoke as Norris came into his pit box to get his stop done, and clearly delayed the McLaren driver. So I don't like the look of that from George's point of view. That's an unsafe release.
Sainz is coming in with Ferrari. Do you agree with Ted, Martin?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, and the right rear looked like it was late on arrival, or something was going on with the right rear on Russell's car. It was a very long stop. They released him. It was touch and go, but there is no doubt about it, he impeded the McLaren.
Once again, Sebastian Vettel gets a nice helping of DRS as Sergio Perez overtakes him and moves back into 5th, having pitted. And that will just help Vettel in his defense.
Should Formula 1 do Road America and Virginia Road Course? Thing is, those, like, yeah, but they're just not grade 1 tracks, so.
To the pits after being told to do so by his Ferrari team, and we are on lap 18 of this race. If you're just joining us and you want to watch the highlights alongside the live action, Sky Q and Sky Glass customers can press their red button The red Ferrari at 80 kilometers an hour is making its way.
Do a North Korean Grand Prix.
Sergio Perez going through. Fernando Alonso, who haven't pitted. George Russell going past our commentary box right now. Let's see where Perez comes out in relation to where Sainz comes out in relation to George Russell. Sainz on the track comfortably ahead of the Mercedes.
Yeah, and obviously the track's effectively, it's an anti-clockwise circuit. The pits are effectively on the outside of the track, so you duck underneath the track and feed out at very high speed in turn 3 of the lap.
Here goes Fernando Alonso on Sebastian Vettel. I wonder how long he can put up that fight. There is George Russell making a move past Daniel Ricciardo, hasn't pitted yet. Russell just set the fastest lap of the race on those fresh new hard compound tyres. We're on board once again with Fernando Alonso then, heading into turn 9. You can see the blinking, flashing lights on the rear of the Aston Martin as it harvests energy, recovers energy and tops up the battery, ready for more deployment. Lewis Hamilton is coming into the pits. Let's head down that way to Ted Kravitz.
And they're going to want to have a look at this quite closely because they're getting some indications that actually Lewis's floor might be broken. Lewis feels on the radio that he has got some damage from that incident early on when he clumped over the curb.
Oh, Lewis has some underbody damage?
Well, we can see it here. It's a little bit far away from me to see. Seems good. That's better than Russell's. That's much better. A little pat on each other's shoulders. It's the hard tyre. I can't see any floor damage, but of course the crucial bits will be underneath.
So, George Russell's under investigation for unsafe release.
Which is damaged and costing him lap time.
It wouldn't be surprising, would it, if there were some strakes?
I think the floor's broken.
If there was some strakes or some fixing underneath the Mercedes after that little aerial activity.
Names of the crew on the wheel rims there, I think. Fernando Alonso is looking in his mirrors. The reason he's doing that is because Carlos Sainz is right behind him. Sainz, who was pitted onto the hard compound tyre, is making a nice fist of it down that back straight. Carlos Sainz moves up into 5th place. Sebastian Vettel, the next driver ahead of him, I'm sure won't be putting up too much of a fight. Sainz has DRS once again with Fernando Alonso too. I have to say, this is a super performance in the opening stages here by Sebastian Vettel. He tried to get past Esteban Ocon.
I would want FIA to see where the Superbikes GT, Ferrari, and Formula E for track replacement. Yeah.
As indicated there, holding off Carlos Sainz.
And of course this is for position, it's not for lapping, so he's entitled to fight Sainz every metre of the way. Fernando Alonso is the only driver of the front runners, shall we say, that's got a brand new set. Front riders poor, I think. Yeah, they start bald as well, don't they? But these slick tyres. But we saw Alonso pitting, didn't we? He ducked into the pit lane as Perez does the new fastest lap of the race. And so out front, Verstappen and Leclerc 7.3 seconds apart have not pitted.
And 2.4 seconds stationary for Fernando Alonso. Sebastian Vettel still keeping Carlos Sainz at bay. This isn't exactly helping Carlos Sainz's race at the moment with George Russell, who is gaining on the Ferrari. You can see him in the background. Sainz wants to get rid of Sebastian Vettel and has done so as Alonso comes back out onto the track in 14th place. But he's been held up a lot behind Vettel and his teammate in these early stages.
Yeah, so the DRS, by and large, has been too strong this year, hasn't it? It's made, the passes are made down the straight and they need to be made under braking. They need to put you into play to make the overtake, not to actually just play an overtake. So they need to shorten the distances, delay the activation.
Our race leader is pitting, and he is a pit stop ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. With Charles Leclerc in between them, and Leclerc takes over the lead of this race. Hard tyre goes on to Verstappen with a slightly longer pit stop than you'd normally expect for Red Bull, but safely. The 4 tyres are on and he can get back out into this race once more. As Lance Stroll moves up into 11th place. Verstappen will come out behind Leclerc and ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez, not by much, but by enough.
It's just not it's not a grade 1 track. There are only 37 grade 1 tracks
be getting
in the
towards
world.
being too
So
late. So
it's very limited where F1 can go, and that's not to say that, you know, tracks can't be upgraded to a grade 1. You know, like there are things tracks can do to make them, you know, a grade 1 track, but there's only so many right now.
I wouldn't be surprised if they react a little bit later to try and tire off.
Well, Charles Leclerc is coming in. George Russell, this man who's just overtaken Sebastian Vettel, has a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release, and that should come as no surprise, but to bitter disappointment for our maiden Grand Prix winner in Sao Paulo 7 days ago.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the driver, isn't it? He didn't make a mistake on the pit stop, and you can't, you know, when the lights go, you've got to exit your pit box. You can't try to second guess all of that. So the driver takes the pain for the team, but you win together, you lose together.
Longest stint, by the way, on the hard compound tyre in last year's race was 44 laps for Lewis Hamilton. That helps by a safety car. I just wonder, as Leclerc comes back out onto the track behind Verstappen and behind Perez, so it hasn't worked out for him in the opening stint. He needs to be ahead of Sergio Perez to get that runners-up spot. I just wonder if Sebastian Vettel is going to come in a few moments' time. He had a bit of DRS when George Russell overtook him. It's helped give him a bit of pace for one more lap, and he could potentially go to the end of this race on a set of hard tyres and make it a one-stop race, whilst others have pitted before him. Oh, it's right on the tail here of Charles Leclerc, his teammate.
It's funny that motorsports games are signed. Yeah, it is kind of funny.
A few laps now on Carlos Sainz.
And I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Free to race as well. He's got that DRS as Carlos Sainz. Is he going to make a move down the inside? No, he thought about it, but thought against it.
Leclerc's tyres 4 laps younger now, but with Russell and his penalty and Hamilton struggling, these two are really starting to fight. This is about the final place on the podium, isn't it?
It's certainly looking good for Ferrari and the constructors.
If you watch the team members brushing with a glove across the front wing, that's to clear the slot gaps out between the elements.
It's like we won't get any of the racing games they promised. I mean, that's fine with me. I can just keep playing the F1 games. I think the F1 games are more fun than the NASCAR games anyway. I mean, I still think NASCAR is better racing. I still think NASCAR in real life is better, but I just think the games, I think F1 makes better games. I've been playing F1 non-stop.
Certainly will. Yet to pit 2, Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen. Out in front, Verstappen now just the 1.8 seconds ahead of his teammate Sergio Perez. It was an awful long walk.
It's a British touring car game, but that'll never happen.
Did the undercut.
That'd be cool, though.
In this stage of the race, there's Fernando Alonso, finds himself behind Yuki Tsunoda, and there's Lewis Hamilton getting past Sebastian Vettel, and up into 6th place. So Ted, let's head to you.
God, there's action everywhere today, isn't there, Crofty? Fernando Alonso is a pretty frustrated man, because this is ruining his strategy. Valtteri Bottas recovering from a terrible start and last. There you go, there's the overtake for you.
Yes, he's got 2 into 1.
He needed to do that because it was ruining his strategy after his stop, and now he's released from the slow Bottas, and Tsunoda's now coming back in. Crofty, take it away, sorry.
Okay, well, he's got past Tsunoda, he's got past Bottas, but they've both got DRS, and Alonso just looking at which way to go here. And while he's looking in his mirrors, Tsunoda swoops around the outside and says thank you very much. So it was 2 at one corner, and then lost 1 on the next one, so net gain 1. More frustration, definitely. Ted, back down to you.
That was it. So otherwise, Esteban Ocon, the other side of the Alpine garage, going pretty well. 4 seconds now behind Norris.
Thank you very much.
George, we have a 5-second penalty for unsafe release. We'll have to serve it at the next pit stop.
All right, if we're going to take 5-second penalty, we need to go long.
So maybe put a set of softs on at the ends to try and get some overtaking done. That's indeed as if George Russell is going to stop again, which, by the sound of that conversation, he will do. Kareem, to you.
Yeah, I was going to say that does sound like he's going to pit again. Just to confirm what you were speculating, Crocky, about Vettel, I do think they are going for that one stop. He's currently said that the front.
You know, if EA does a go-kart game, that'd be
But if
cool.
you look at their track position, he's 5 seconds ahead of Ocon, and they both got one stop to go, effectively, haven't they? So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it could be a one stop there they're aiming for.
Let's see what transpires with that.
In Project Cars 2, you can race a go-kart.
This is a track where Alonso
They have like little go-kart tracks too. And then if you go into a test session, you can bring any car into the go-kart track. So you can race a fucking like NASCAR car around a go-kart track. Or test, you can't race it, but you can like do a time trial of it.
Fernando Alonso moves up into 11th place and finally does get past Yuki Tsunoda. You'll remember the heartbreak with Alonso here, stuck behind Vitaly Petrov and his World Championship.
What go-kart track? There's a few. I don't even remember exactly which ones. I think there's one in like Scotland.
First time that season and won his title.
And that is why they introduced DRS, because Petrov was able to hold Alonso up for the entire race.
Lando Norris is the next to get past Sebastian Vettel, who might be struggling with his tyres a little bit. But every time he keeps getting overtaken into that chicane, he then gets DRS on the next straight, which helps his place.
Usher! Usher is here.
One of a number of superstars from the sport and entertainment world that have come to Abu Dhabi this year.
And next to that, I just said in Brazil before, Lando really pulls the gears fast into a corner. He's got the engine singing.
Chocolate glaze.
We're just getting eaten up by everybody. Who's next to pass us? We're sitting duck. We're watching, Sebastian. These are two stoppers.
Yeah, and the trouble is, he's doing 1:33s. That's for him a good 1.5 seconds off the pace, and you're not very many laps before you win a pit stop, a free pit stop, are you at that rate?
That's true. Daniel Ricciardo in 16th place, down in 16th place for Daniel Ricciardo. But making some overtakes and having a bit of fun. Now Mick Schumacher might fancy trying to get after his teammate Kevin Magnussen. They've both got DRS here. Mick Schumacher trying to prove
You'd love an IndyCar game, me too.
Formula One next season. It makes a lovely move on Kevin Magnussen going into turn 9. So it just seems at the moment the majority of that field are all out there looking at a two-stop race. Apart from Sebastian Vettel, who, not for the first time in his career, is doing it a different way. Finally, though, Ted Kravitz is coming towards you in the pits.
You might even say he's doing it his way. Well, actually, his way would have been to pit earlier, but I think this is the earliest they can stop and try to make a one-stop work. Oh, it's a little bit slow on the right rear. That's lost a second, but not so bad by the Aston boys and girls, and he's away on the hard tyre. Let's see if he can make this one-stop work.
That's lost more than 1 second. Smoke there. Is that the lead?
Somebody had to suddenly kill some
I love that little pit lane exit that they have at Abu Dhabi.
Is that Sebastian Vettel's last ever Formula One pit stop?
Unless we get a safety car, one would suggest so. It probably won't be the one he remembers as fondly as some others. He's come out now behind Pierre Gasly, and he's probably stationary for about a second and a half longer than he really wanted. Let's see what he can do from there. You can see him in the background.
Yeah, not a good race for Sebastian Vettel, unfortunately.
And up into 17th place, and then locks up his tyres for good measure going into the chicane. So Seb now wants to nurse those tyres, bring them up to a decent temperature, and just let them simmer for the rest of this race.
Yeah, the hard tyre, they only get 2 sets for the entire Grand Prix weekend. And every single one of them is on a set of hard tyres now out there. 20 cars still running.
And Max Verstappen, I think, managing the pace rather nicely as we see this battle carrying on between Pierre Gasly and Kevin Magnussen. Racing for fun, these two, and enjoying themselves an awful lot, I think, out on that track. Karun Chandok, down to you.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton's lap times have stabilised a bit on this harder tyre that he's put on 8 laps ago. He does seem happy with it as we look at, this was Vettel, wasn't it, into the tunnel probably. Had a,
The rear tyres locked up.
No, but I think he had to hit the brakes. I think he was overspeeding.
Stages is 0 to 28, 28 to 48, and then 48 to finish if stages existed.
50 miles an hour.
Interesting.
It'd probably actually be 0 to like 15
Karoon, back to you.
And then 0 to 15, 15 to 30, and then 30 to 58.
5 seconds.
That's probably how it would actually
It's sort
be.
of stabilised in the low 4.2, 4.3 second gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And the drivers'
Because they usually have stage 3, the longest stage.
Charles Leclerc is coming at him, and he's not doing it by a huge amount, although on this lap has taken 4/10 out of Perez in the first sector. He might need his teammate to pick up the pace a little bit to enable him to pick up the pace.
I wondered if it was the opposite to that, actually, whether he needs Verstappen to drop back again just to give him the DRS and pull him clear of the Ferraris for a second time.
2 seconds, the gap between Verstappen and Perez. Don't forget, Max Verstappen going for a 15th win of the season this evening. That would tie the Prost and Senna total that the pair of them won in that legendary 1988 season for McLaren. And it would be by 2 on the checkered flag, the most wins in a season by any driver. Fernando Alonso pitting and second pit stop retiring.
Have to retire the car.
Oh dear. Well, Fernando Alonso, who's not had the best of luck with mechanical reliability this season, finishes off his stints with the Enstone team and finishes it off by being pushed into the garage as our first retirement this evening. That is a real shame for him.
A key for the fight between McLaren and Alpine, of course, but McLaren have got an awful lot of point scoring to do if they're going to make the difference this evening.
We need a 4th and a 6th to go above Alpine, is what Andreas Seidel told me today.
What if NASCAR did the Red Bull Ring? That'd be fun. I think NASCAR would actually do really good there. I think they would do good at Spa. Like I want NASCAR to go to Spa so bad.
Lovely. Threw the anchors out just at the right moment. Managed to still get off the brakes and rotate the car into the apex.
Bottas is struggling a bit for pace out there. Mick Schumacher has just swooped round the outside of him and up into 14th place in the Haas.
2 drivers haven't pitted yet, and that is Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen.
Which might explain why Schumacher
Fernando
was,
Alonso's in the
a little bit
pits.
quicker than his teammate, and it might explain why Valtteri Bottas was struggling for pace at times.
You're saying he's going to the garage?
Definitely going for the one stopper there. 4 of the final 7 races in 2022, Fernando Alonso has failed to get to the checkered flag.
Oh, so Fernando Alonso did DNF.
This is Sebastian Vettel.
That sucks.
Very nice move on Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, you could see in unison the puff of brake dust of the carbon brakes, just as they were both trying to keep position or gain position.
Yuki Tsunoda's in the points.
Leclerc's keeping, he's just 4.8 seconds off the lead. He's keeping the Red Bulls in view, isn't he?
Yeah. He's on that last lap was 0.8 of a second faster.
I've been cut off by Max.
I think that's Sergio saying, come on, Max, pick up the pace here. I know you're protecting your tyres, you're doing a bit of tyre management, you'd like to get to the end of the race and maybe not have to stop again, but I need you to go quicker.
Yeah, so what he's saying is he's sliding around more in the invisible but turbulent air, and rather than the DRS helping, it's like 6-7 tenths per lap to get DRS down both zones. But he's saying I'm losing more sliding around. So would you ask him to get on with it, please?
And the Ferraris, with the harder tyre on, looking at a much livelier animal once again.
Yeah, good point.
As they were in Sao Paulo, to be honest. And maybe, you know, a car that does tend to overwork its tyres, overheat its tyres a little bit, when you put the harder one on, the penalty is not quite so severe. Perez is...
So Fernando Alonso's out of the race.
The emotions that Nico Rosberg might have gone through here back in 2016, you know, when he would quite liked his teammate that night to have got a bit of a move on.
Red Bull driving for a one stop. They are gonna one stop.
Well, 1 or 2, that's the question. The teams might have made their mind up, but they've got plenty of time to change it should they need to. Should we get a late safety car, for instance, in this race?
That's what they'll be nervous of.
Who is not on hards? Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen's on mediums. He's the only one on mediums.
30 laps into this race. On on the same set of tyres, and he's not exactly treating them very kindly there as he locks up under pressure from Sebastian Vettel. He's now got Pierre Gasly.
I'm going to the bathroom
out
quick.
of that chicane to try and make it 2 places that he's lost in the space of 1 back straight. Vettel up to 15th, Gasly and Bottas 16th and 17th. And Ted, let's head down to you.
Down at Alpine, where the news seems to be that there's some sort of water leak is suspected. They saw on the telemetry the water level going down, the engine would have eventually failed, and that's why they had to call Fernando in. He apparently, as you were saying, he didn't reply. That kind of reflects his views on the unreliability of Alpine throughout the season. He feels it's cost him nearly 70 points. And there would have been some more today. So yeah, since he came back to Formula One, the reunion with Renault and then Alpine, it's ended this way in retirement. Sad for all parties concerned.
And it means that Fernando Alonso has been beaten by Esteban Ocon during the course of this season. I'll tell you more about that in a moment as Daniel Ricciardo now manages to get past the Alfa Romeo of Joe Guanyu. Bottas has come into the pits. Bottas,
Water leak is causing retirement for Fernando.
He's never been beaten in a season by Jenson Button in 2015, Lewis Hamilton in 2007.
Bottas is on pit exit right now. So, so now Bottas has switched to the mediums. Hey, it's Shaq!
In a commentary ever before. I don't think I will.
We got Shaq at the F1 race.
Shaq watching on, enjoying the Grand Prix. That's the 4th time that Fernando Alonso has dropped out this year with a water leak.
We got, I mean, pretty much everyone's here. If you're not here, what are you doing?
Russell's been saying he wants to go long on this set of tyres. 2.5 seconds, the gap out in front. Verstappen over Perez. Perez pitted before Verstappen to try the undercut. Means that those tyres he's got on are 5 laps older. And Charles Leclerc has tyres on that are 6 laps fresher. Looking in a very good position, Charles Leclerc. Certainly coming to the end of the stint too, where Perez might be struggling a bit more than the Ferrari. And the Ferrari certainly has pace. The gap down to 2 seconds now, and closing all the while 3/10 on this particular lap. And Leclerc has taken out of Perez's advantage. We're down to 1.7 seconds. Sooner or later, he's going to get some DRS, and then it could get very, very harem-scarum for Sergio Perez and for Red Bull. The thing is, Martin, runner-up in the Drivers' Championship, but Red Bull really want that 1-2 to cement what has been an incredible season for them.
Very dominant season. He's putting personal bests in out front, but he's obviously playing along.
There's a soccer player called Jizz. Sounds like a nice guy.
And yeah, Leclerc's very, very close to getting into DRS zone with him. 4.3 covers the top 3 drivers.
So, all is still to play for on that one. And out in front, all looking very nice for Max Verstappen. Behind him, it's going to get quite feisty soon, I think. George Russell, meanwhile, has just put in a personal best and the best overall first sector in the race. Behind Carlos Sainz currently, but looking to go long onto this stint before he has that 5-second penalty either at the end of the race or for his pit stop.
Yeah, and you'd have to say Hamilton's closing in on Russell, if anything.
Favorite snacks? Top 5?
Obviously plus the 5 seconds.
Jesus, man, I don't know.
Russell to be applied at some point, and it sounds as if they're absolutely certain they're coming in again before the end of the Grand Prix.
Cookie, brownie, Blizzard. That's it.
Time management going on elsewhere.
Donut.
So
donut.
is if Sergio Perez pits, stay out. And I think they're just, looking to see what Red Bull are going to do, and they are making quite a late call here on Sergio Perez and pitting him. So Leclerc will stay, and he could do. He's got 6 laps fresher tyres on that Ferrari. Perez pitting, because he's been running a little bit closer to his teammate Max Verstappen, and that might not have helped his tyres in that second stint. So with 34 laps to go in this race, he's making his second pit stop, and he's going to come out hopefully for him, ahead of Lando Norris. There is Lando Norris going into turn 1. Perez comfortably then clear. They found a really nice gap for him to pit into.
And it should help him undercut and stay in front of Leclerc as well. Well, it will help him undercut Leclerc, won't it, on the fresh tyre.
So Sergio just pitted.
Plays out at the end, so 24 laps to go.
And the thing is, they can wait 6 laps, can't they? But Ferrari, with Charles Leclerc, then pit him, and then he can really push to the end, rather than, you know, trying to manage it a bit in that middle.
Yeah,
stint.
Weed is 5th.
Ted, let's head down to you.
Yeah, so this fight for P2 and the drivers, as even though Mercedes look like they're not going to overturn Ferrari in the constructors, is still on with Leclerc, isn't it? That's a bit early for Perez. That's a good 3 or 4 laps earlier than the earliest bit in the pit window. We were told by Pirelli that the second stops would happen. So Perez is going to have to really treat them kindly, otherwise he's going to be vulnerable to Leclerc, as you've been saying, at the end of the race.
Okay, Max, so we need increased tyre management. Increased tyre management, please.
No, mate, they are catching. What do you want me to do? Like, they cannot get close.
You are 4/10 faster than Leclerc in Sector 2.
And that middle sector is where Red Bull have been very strong throughout this weekend. Is that Red Bull now thinking we're going to switch to a one-stopper for Max Verstappen?
Possibly. Well, I think what they're saying is you're taking 4/10 out of the Ferrari, so you're obviously taking more life out of your tyre. Oh, that was close against the wall there. Did Daniel Ricciardo have a slow pit stop? He's dropped back down. He was running 12th, wasn't he?
But so on the green switch, show us your pushing level.
Bandit's now in the season. I'm not hanging around. Push as hard as I can.
We'll call that a 5 then, if there's 5 to choose from on his button to talk to the pits without talking to the pits, as it were. But yeah, for me, I read that radio call as a realisation from Max Verstappen and the team that Ferrari are right in the hunt all of a sudden.
And Karun, you've been monitoring the team radio. What else do we hear?
Well, at exactly the same moment, both Leclerc and Verstappen's engineers told their drivers, we could be switching to one stop and going to the end. So let's think about your tyre management. So I don't think they've committed either ways, but they are hedging their bets here because the Ferrari does seem much happier on the hard tyre.
And we have track conditions that are cooling all the time as well, so switching away to the higher degradation at the start of the race and getting a bit cooler as it goes on. Daniel Ricciardo trying down the inside there on Alex Albon. Now, we saw what happened in Mexico when he dived down the inside on an unsuspecting Yuki Tsunoda and they came together. This time around, with Ricciardo and Albon, they managed to keep apart. But this is, well, for McLaren, they need to start clearing a few cars here. Norris is 7th, Ricciardo out of the points. One Alpine car is out of the race as Albon now pits.
Question, can you keep this pace with plan C?
Yes, I think.
Okay, copy that.
Logan Sargent's welcome to Formula One for next season. He's got his super license points, enough of them, and he'll take the seat vacated by Nicholas Latifi at Williams for next year.
He will indeed. Look forward to seeing him on the grid. So, Leclerc, I think that's Leclerc saying, I can take these tyres to the end of the Grand Prix if I have to. But if Sainz is in tyre management mode for a one-stopper, he's going very fast with it.
Verstappen to Perez, the gap, 23.8 seconds. So he could pit and still come out ahead of his teammate, which would probably be better for his teammate because he can then try and drag him out of a threat from a Ferrari behind. But maybe Red Bull are thinking more about a one-stopper here. Verstappen's pace is still in the 129s. The only other driver in the top 6 in the 129s is his teammate Sergio Perez.
And look, we were talking, and Lewis
Sargent is watching. That's good.
But suddenly, on these tyres, he's faster than his teammate. I think he's catching his teammate, must be said, is Lewis Hamilton. So, whatever it was, it seems to have gone away a bit on hard compound tyres.
Which is good to hear. Karun at Sky Race Control, got some more team radio news for us.
Yeah, Sergio Perez has been told he's 18 seconds behind.
5 people killed in a Colorado gay nightclub. Oh my fucking god. That is terrible, man.
Yeah, exactly that. They've now given Perez the job of catching 18 seconds and passing 4 cars on track if he wants to get second place. He has, of course, got tyres which are 12 laps.
The fuck, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's fucked up.
That's all order to catch that amount. I don't know. I mean, yes, this current pace, but if Leclerc starts really struggling in the last handful of laps, he'll be an easy target, but he's got to get there first.
It's that magical way that the strategists have, Martin, of predicting how much performance is lost in the closing stages before it actually happens, which invariably they get right. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way, but if that is the plan for Red Bull, those in the Perez camp will definitely be hoping that it works out that way.
Any kind of safety car or virtual safety car, though, would play right into Ferrari's hands.
That's the risk that you take by doing that contra strategy. You're absolutely right on that one. All to play for here. We're on lap 38 out of 58. If you're just joining us for the finale, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2022, and you haven't seen the action so far, well, press your red button. You're a Sky Q or a Sky Glass customer, and you can watch the highlights alongside the live action. We are live on board with Lewis Hamilton at the moment, who sustained a bit of damage.
You're not happy about that? Me neither, man. It's fucked up.
Going over the curb on the outside of this corner here.
It's sad, it's terrible. Honestly, there's just no place for, like, hate in this world. It's like, what's... It's just like... Just have the good vibes, bro. There ain't no reason for that hateful shit.
See the red lights flickering away as he's charging the battery up, and got a wide line through turn 9, possibly a little bit easier on the tyres through there, but in this phase of the Grand Prix, it's the Hamilton Mercedes that looks fastest.
Ted, let's head down to you.
So before this Hamilton-Russell thing gets interesting, let me tell you about Sebastian Vettel, where I know you can see he's 13th behind Zhou Guanyu, but it's actually going pretty well. He's quicker than Zhou Guanyu by at least half a second.
Sebastian Vettel's actually gained some pace.
And he's got Zhou, Ricardo Tsunoda, and his teammate Lance Stroll, who are all solid two-stoppers. But I don't think they pitted so early. They can't clearly. We're going to struggle to...
Oh, we got a two-car crash.
Mick Schumacher
And they're back going.
Latifi have had just a little tangle.
So we're back green. Not gonna go to safety car.
I wonder who was trying to make a move on who and who caused that one, but Latifi certainly got damaged.
That was Latifi and Kevin Magnussen.
As through the pack here comes Charles Leclerc with DRS.
Oh,
you can see the Williams
Latifi's got a puncture.
Out of the way. So that could have been that safety car, Martin, that you were talking about, but it's not.
Yeah. So when they said to Leclerc, do whatever he doesn't, you know, so Perez pitted, so they immediately at that moment switched to a one-stopper in the Ferrari. So they pushed Red Bull and Perez.
It looks like Ferrari is going to get second in the constructors standings. It also looks like Leclerc will get second in the driver's standings.
Mercedes could do with Hamilton being let past a little bit because he is clearly the faster of those two cars. Perez having a lap time deleted. He doesn't want to be doing too many of those because the black and white flag could be coming his way, or a potential penalty if it keeps happening. Sorry to butt in.
So Russell pits then.
George Russell's pitting. Carlos Sainz is pitting.
So Sainz pitting, Russell pitting, and the crews will get to work at Mercedes in 5 seconds' time. So that's Carlos Sainz not to think too much about where George Russell is as he makes his exit. Sainz will come out behind Sergio Perez, but will George Russell come out behind Lando Norris? Seems to me Norris has just gone through turn 1, so yes, that will happen. Sainz there. Sainz will come out behind Lando Norris as well. So Norris now, having not pitted for a second time, will find himself under pressure from his golfing partner and old buddy, an old teammate of course too, but that might not last too long as the stewards are now looking at Schumacher and Latifi for that collision down at the hairpin.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be short work, I think, getting past the McLaren in this phase. And Sainz is on his way.
Don't leave me on a 1-minute.
Hamilton needs another pit stop, he believes. 13 seconds the gap now between Leclerc and Perez. and closing all the while. As Sainz moves back up into 5th place, ahead then of Lando Norris. A couple of drivers pitting. Sebastian Vettel up now into 12th, and we can actually have a look at what happened down at the hairpin. Mick Schumacher thought he saw a gap there and just tags the rear of Latifi's Williams, and well, both drivers are losing their race seats for next season, and I'm not sure Mick Schumacher will want to see this too many more times, Martin.
Oh, that was Mick?
They got the body of an E-Type Jag out the front, and that's just a misjudgment from Mick Schumacher there. The Williams was very slow.
Oh, that was K-Mag.
But he ran into it.
They look rather neat in slow motion with two cars pirouetting around.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, spinning. Shall I try spinning? Is that better? It's been a long season, I've said many words. Meanwhile, here's Lance Stroll being overtaken by George Russell, who has just pitted, of course. Ted, let's head down to you.
Yeah, so Lance Stroll actually pitting again. So this is the beginning with no safety car there. There's the teams were kind of looking at the Latifi Schumacher thinking, oh, is this a safety car? But the beginning of the second stops for the solid 2 stoppers in front of Sebastian Vettel. So Zhou, we've seen Stroll pit, Daniel Ricciardo, Russell. So this is going to end up in points, I predict, for Seb Vettel on his last F1 race, but maybe not the 5 they need more than Alfa Romeo Sauber.
Yeah, he needs to clear quite a few, including Esteban Ocon, Lando Norris potentially. 5-second time penalty for Mick Schumacher for causing a collision.
Didn't argue against that. So yeah, we've got George Russell out on the mediums, Carlos Sainz out on the hard compound tyres.
So Russell giving it an aggressive end to the season. Karun Chandler in race control. What have we got?
You know, Ferrari have had a few questionable strategic moments this season.
You could say that.
Once again, Charles Leclerc from the cockpit is questioning, saying, are you guys sure about this? Are you sure we should be doing one stop? There's no clear confidence from the cockpit.
What are your thoughts at this stage?
I'm okay for now.
Understood.
I think last 10 laps will be critical.
Copy.
He's just had a lonely race, Max Verstappen, where his only battle this year seems to be against tyre degradation, not another driver.
Yeah, it's been pretty dominant, hasn't it? Very dominant season for Max. When you look back and review it, and this one has been pretty easy so far for him too. I mean, he's coasting into turn 9 there.
Yeah, and while he's coasting, he's still producing exactly the same times as Leclerc and Hamilton behind him.
No, that was
and Sergio Perez around about a second ahead of his team.
That was Schumacher.
Seconds behind. The key for Perez is the gap between himself and Charles Leclerc, which is around about 18 seconds now. Big lock up there by Zhou Guanyu. Sebastian Vettel will definitely like that, because Vettel is right on the scene here. And the car ahead of Zhou Guanyu, Esteban Ocon.
At this pace, we're going to catch Leclerc. Yeah, we're catching him. This pace is good.
Vettel's going to try around the outside of Zhou Guanyu all the way through turn 9. The rookie.
So at this pace, Perez will pass Leclerc. That'll be second for the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors. Or maybe, I don't know about the Constructors.
Well, there is, and he's the only rookie, so he was absolute certainty right from the outset. Fair play to him, though. I think in times this season he's been absolutely excellent. I'm glad he's got another season to show us just how good he is, and potentially to race in front of his home fans in Shanghai, of course.
So Perez is catching at a second a lap. You have to assume Leclerc's tyres are going to get progressively worse. And that's only just enough, isn't it? It's going to be very close at the end of the Grand Prix.
It certainly is. Lando Norris has pitted, as you can see, and has come out behind George Russell now in 7th place, where he spends an awful lot of his time. Zhou Guanyu has been pursued by two.
All right, so let's vote driver of the day. Everybody vote for Sebastian Vettel.
Into turn 9 on the previous lap. Didn't quite come off for him. Lance Stroll has stopped a couple of times in this race. Might have a bit more pace than his teammate as Daniel Ricciardo now comes under pressure from Esteban Ocon going into the chicane. Ocon moves himself ahead of Ricciardo and up into 8th place. three cars separated by not many metres going into the chicane will now emerge out of it, and we'll see at the turn 9 who can pull off the overtake. Ocon there ahead of Ricciardo. Zhou Guanyu weaving a bit on the straight. Vettel's got that one covered though, and he's definitely got the pace to get past the Alfa Romeo, and does so. Lance Stroll now going round the outside and seeing what he can pick off too.
We believe we'll get overtaken at the end of the race.
Stroll there went right off the track, Martin, and in doing so kept his foot down, came back on the track and ahead of Zhou Guanyu. That's why he's left that, let him take the place back.
Perez is coming out of the clear rapidly now. So they need to be careful they don't get caught between two strategies in the Ferrari. But they'll keep an eye on the side.
Stroll passed to get passed back.
Also in the low 1 minute.
Sebastian Vettel's in the points now for his final race. Honestly, that is worthy of a driver of the day vote. Like the fact that he went all the way back to come back up to a point spot, that's pretty good.
You might only have the choice of going to a soft tyre at the end, because that can only do about 10 or 11 laps, can't it, guys?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no point pitting late and putting a medium on, you won't be quick enough.
Soft tyre might be a good one though for the last 10 laps. If Ferrari realise that plan that they've got to, and I forget which letter of the alphabet we're trying this afternoon, if they need another plan, could it be the soft compound tyre? Stroll eventually gets past Zhou Guanyu, and Aston Martin running, well, 10th and 12th, because Zhou Guanyu's taken that place back again.
Yeah, so Leclerc's got a brand new set of mediums and a brand new set of hard tyres available.
Can't lose time here. Catch and pass, Hamilton. Catch and pass. Get it done.
Yeah, it's Sergio time. Sergio speed is what Red Bull need, and he's got some DRS assistance down that back straight. George Russell flying along on the medium compound tyre, and there you see the Perez pace that he's got, and he does get level with Lewis Hamilton. Little lock-up though, going into that chicane, and how much is that going to compromise it? Coming out of the chicane, Hamilton seems to get a much better exit, and he's now got DRS, a little bit of a slipstream as well.
So the Lance Stroll, Zhou Guanyu forced off a track that's under review. Ooh.
Hamilton manages to keep hold of that third place.
Yeah, but the reason I think Lewis didn't defend that is he wanted the DRS down the next straight to retake the place. So it looked like Lewis was being very passive there. He wasn't. He just wanted the detection point to come back at him, and that worked a treat.
Some sort of sleeping praying mantis. This is very good for Charles Leclerc, of course, who wants Sergio Perez to have his pace slowed down a little bit, and that's certainly what's happened on that last lap. Verstappen leads by 7.5 seconds from Charles Leclerc. They're trying to one-stop out in front for the top two, and this is that Sergio Perez lock up into the chicane, only slightly, just forced him deeper, and it compromised him on the exit.
Yeah, you have to turn 10-20 degrees harder for the right-hander then, and then Hamilton behind him with his wing open and some slipstream, and stage right, there he is.
Lewis Hamilton emerging into view, and that's not what Sergio really wanted to see.
You could see very clearly there the reaction where as he went through the turbulent air of the Mercedes-Benz, and he had to give a big correction on the steering wheel to sort the car out.
Now in life you've got to learn, Martin, haven't you? We try and learn new things every day, and maybe Sergio has learnt here that making a move into the chicane is not the way to go.
Absolutely. Lewis got a great exit though, but he's still vulnerable, to say the least.
And down the inside goes Sergio Perez, and we can see he's actually got a car length ahead as they emerge out of turn 9. See, so that's good learning from Sergio Perez, but how crucial was that lap and a half behind Lewis Hamilton to his race pace and his battle with Charles Leclerc? Because as we carry on, the laps start to run out, and he's on target to be right there with the man in second place, and to try and take that second place in the championship. Could he have lost 1 or 2 seconds with Lewis Hamilton in the way that he cost Lewis Hamilton quite a few seconds this time last year, 11.5 months ago. Perez doing a great job that night, but has he been on the wrong end of some good defending and some holding up here tonight? Karoon, let's head down to you.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton's been told he's got Carlos Sainz hunting him down now. Last time round, 2 seconds faster the Spaniard was in the Ferrari. 10 laps to go, Crofty, and it's 10 seconds.
Yeah, and what did Lewis say on the radio? Don't leave me one stopping. But Russell, there's 3 drivers in the 1 minute 28. That's Russell and Norris. There's one other in there as well. And Sainz, Russell, Norris and Sainz have been in the 1 minute 28 and are coming back. They're 5th, 6th and 7th at the moment.
Mick Schumacher passed Joe Guan Yu. Both drivers have been lapped, along with Bottas, Magnussen and Latifi. We've lost one driver from this race, Fernando Alonso. But if you want to watch some highlights along with the details, Sky Q customers can, Sky Glass customers can press their red button. So Verstappen's going to stay out in front and on a one-stopper. That's the message coming there from the world champion. Checo, now's your time.
Yeah, in other words, tell Checo just to give it everything.
This has been a good race, yeah.
They've got a long way through their fuel load by now. 100 and some odd kilos that they put in at the start of the race is going down nicely.
So Verstappen ahead of Leclerc, ahead of Perez, Hamilton and Sainz, then the top 5. Coming up then, Russell and Norris, both on the medium compound tyre. Esteban Ocon has about 6 seconds on Daniel Ricciardo at the moment and a pace advantage. Sebastian Vettel is gaining a bit on Daniel Ricciardo in 10th place with Lance Stroll on the mediums behind him.
This is sort of a Michael Schumacher-esque drive there from Max Verstappen. It's kind of like, it almost looks, however slow he's driving, he's pulling away. It just looks so casual in the way that he's minding the car to the end of the Grand Prix, particularly the tyres, of course.
Are we too late to start?
So we dropped to P6, but maybe battling back to P5.
Also known as your teammate.
Yes, George Russell. Meanwhile, out in front, you might not have heard this team radio from a lap ago. This is Max Verstappen reporting into the Red Bull team.
10 to go.
Yeah, tyres are good. Just so Checo to do a full send. The tyres will be fine.
Understood.
Max Verstappen in a very happy place out in front. Joe Guan Yu would like to be in a happier place, ahead of Mick Schumacher in 15th. I have to say, under the lights, the Alfa Romeo looks good, as does the green of the Aston Martin. And this is the green of Lance Stroll, catching Sebastian Vettel. You hold your breath a little bit when these two get together, but that was Vettel making way for his teammate to get past, I think.
And pushing Sebastian Vettel out of the World Championship points at this stage. They only hand out the sweeties at the end, of course, in the Grand Prix. So some time to go yet. But Leclerc has just put in his personal best of the Grand Prix, also in the 1 minute 29. So he's hanging on there now. This is going to be a great fight between Leclerc and Perez. Ted.
It is, isn't it, Martin? I'm looking forward to this. This is much closer than I thought it was going to be, and much closer than I think Red Bull thought it was going to be. So if Checo is going to go, quote, full send, then Ferrari is going to have to go 2 seconds, Ted.
How did we get the strategy so wrong?
Well, it was a good idea at the time, but yeah, I think there's some in front who are trying some very, very ambitious, in front of Vettel, who are trying some ambitious 2 stops. But yeah, the 2 stops work for Lance Stroll, so far his teammate. I think that's probably what he's referring to, as Stroll's in front of him. But yeah, so Leclerc telling his teammate not to talk to him anymore on the radio, especially in the corners. Leclerc says, look, Xavi, I know what to do now. He's got a big job ahead of him to defend P2. There's a replay of the afternoon.
I think what Sebastian Vettel is saying is that, come on, everyone around us is 2-stopping here. We've gone for the 1 stop. I'm now out of the points. This is not really how it should have gone. Stroll is ahead of Ricciardo and up into 9th. And if Vettel doesn't get into the points, there'll be a steward's inquiry at the end of this.
And we need to increase tyre saving at turn 3.
Yes, it is level 3, thank you.
Copy.
Good information, though. Very good information. Don't let the car scrub across the track. I couldn't help but see the irony on Stroll's halo there, roll bar, saying Danke Seb as he's still casting on presumably a strategy that Sebastian feels is a lot better.
Yeah, it got a little bit touchy at the end in Sao Paulo as well, with Sebastian Vettel not having any soft compound tyres and tumbling out of the points. And on the wrong strategy that day, and as he crossed the line, he went.
Sebastian got passed by Stroll.
the points going to his teammate with a 6th, 10th place finish of the season.
Yes, that's right. Up 4 places from the grid, and Sebastian Vettel down 2.
But what they need at Aston Martin is both drivers to advance a little bit, beyond Ocon and beyond Ricciardo, and then they could be looking at a 6th place finish in the championship. That would to give them 8th and 9th. That would give them the 5 points that I think they need. Still going to make a move here. Sorry, Martin, on Daniel Ricciardo ahead of him. He's got that pace, and there he goes, up into 9th place. Nice.
Sainz is catching Hamilton pretty quickly, but is it quickly enough? It was 1.3 seconds faster on that lap, mind you, and another personal best for Carlos Sainz, as he's dragging George Russell along with him, so they'll be reasonably close to Lewis Hamilton in the closing stages.
Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship this year. As you can see, 3 wins, 10 podiums. He's got a heck of a lot of poles as well. Failed to win 7 times when starting on pole in 2022. Sergio Perez with 2 wins. In Monaco, of course, and in Singapore has had his best season in Formula 1. Has only ever had 1 top 6 finish. Here in Abu Dhabi in GP2, he won. And would dearly love to be on the podium, though, for the first time here as a Formula 1 driver. And that gap, well, as you can see, starting to come down. 6.3 seconds. Schwartzman back in nerves down at Ferrari now. As I'm sure there are a few more in that garage. Lap 52 of 58, not long to go till the end of the season here. There's Charles Leclerc, and you can just see Sergio Perez in the background. Now on proper full send mode. What was the difference in lap time on that last lap? 0.6 of a second.
It's not enough, is it?
No.
It's not enough.
Perez, meanwhile, has Daniel Ricciardo in his sights. He's closing in on the McLaren a bit too fast.
It's going to be tight, buddy. 7 laps to go. All out, all out.
He's getting Hugh Bird, his race engineer, giving him proper motivation. Vettel tried that move on his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo, didn't come off. He lost a little bit of ground to him. We're still looking quite a long way into the distance to see Sergio Perez here as he chases down Leclerc.
Lewis Hamilton has now got a black and white flag for track limits, so 1 more and he gets a 5-second penalty.
So Lewis Hamilton will get a 5-second time penalty.
Stages. It is Lewis Hamilton as Carlos Sainz closes in on him.
He is 6 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz, though, so that won't mean anything yet. But
you would have thought George Russell also
now it will.
at a decent pace catching Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton going for that 1 stop. Verstappen and Leclerc going for that 1 stop. Perez and Red Bull taking a bit of a gamble, going for a 2-stop and hoping that that can give them the advantage they need to either stay ahead or get ahead of Charles Leclerc. It's 4/10 on this lap that Perez has picked up, but only 4/10. He needs really to be second a lap faster than Charles Leclerc, whose tyres could still go off that little bit more, of course. The gap down to 5.4 seconds as he crossed the line. Better lap from Perez, 0.8 faster than Charles Leclerc. Leclerc with those hard compound tyres on now for 31 laps. Hamilton, 34 laps for his tyres. They can't wait for the checkered flag, I'm sure. What will help Perez, if he can get to these cars at the right time, is he might get a bit of DRS as he's starting to lap some back markers. Gasly and Albon a little bit further ahead of Charles Leclerc. That might not come into play for him.
That's a great drive from Leclerc, isn't it? To split the Red Bulls. That didn't look at all likely, did it, in the opening stages?
Certainly didn't. Lap 53 out of 58. And Sergio Perez is just looking for any advantage he can find.
Max can't give Leclerc DRS. Does make it easier for Leclerc to defend against you.
And what, 0.6 of a second on this lap in the first 2 sectors. Ted, down to you.
Just a quick one on the 2 leavees, and that's leavers, Ricciardo and Vettel. Vettel's closing on Ricciardo, is going to get him in the next lap or so if the current pace keeps up.
Thanks ever so much, Ted. 5 laps to go of the Formula 1 season in 2022.
So Sainz is going to be on Hamilton on the last lap, effectively. Will Perez do the same to Leclerc? Stay tuned.
I think these last 5 laps pretty much sums up this season as a whole. No dispute who's going to win and who the champion is. The big scrap has all been about second place. Lewis Hamilton, who doesn't really want to keep this W13 in his collection at all, is in a situation that he really didn't fancy for the race that, well, gave him one last opportunity to keep alive that record of winning at least one race in every single season that he's competed in. It's not going to happen for him this year. Bottas gets past Schumacher, 16th place for the Alfa Romeo. Hamilton will get a bit of DRS to try and get past the Alfa Romeo and the Haas, who are having their own particular fight, and they're going to have to make way because they've been lapped in this race. Perez now about 4 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, still gaining on this lap, 0.6 of a second through the first 2 sectors once more. That fight with Bottas keeping Schumacher at bay has just held up Hamilton momentarily. Schumacher then eventually does move out of the way, and Hamilton can chase past him. Max Lauda, Niki Lauda's son, here in the Mercedes garage. Great to see him here. Mercedes with that red star for Niki.
How does Niki Lauda have a son?
I can't help but think that...
Like that young.
You're going to be on him the last lap.
He was 70 when he died.
I think that Lewis would have been P5 anyway had he have stopped, so he's fighting over 4th and 5th now, but I think what he's recognising is that the red Ferrari that's looming in his mirrors now is going to be passed him before the checkered flag.
He was passed, of course, by George Russell's teammate in that first stint, and that's relegated him down, but you're absolutely right there, Martin. On board with Sergio Perez, and the gap now is very much under that 4-second margin and coming down even more so. There is Hamilton, there is Carlos Sainz. Keeping out of the way is Valtteri Bottas.
I've lost shifts aren't working properly. Copy, okay, may have a hydraulic problem, so may go passive, just be cautious.
And it did go passive. As you can see, Carlos Sainz goes ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who was absolutely powerless to try and defend, and he's stuck in 7th gear at the moment.
Lewis Hamilton's got an issue.
But this is a hydraulic issue, and this might be curtains for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, that's going to be it for Lewis.
He's got it down into 5th gear from 7th.
That's it for Lewis.
You lose a number of functions on the car. That looks like the end of the road for Lewis Hamilton's competitive race anyway.
And for Mercedes' chances of beating Ferrari really in the Constructors' Championship, they're falling by the wayside too. They really needed 2 cars.
You don't like Lewis? I love Lewis.
To the Ferraris. Hamilton then, what a disappointing moment for him. Sergio Perez continuing on his way. Now the gap, 2.7 seconds to Charles Leclerc.
And Perez could do with getting past these squabbling back markers in a hurry.
Well,
dangerous territory for him.
Squabbling back markers there, Martin. I thought they were going to keep out of the way, but Pierre Gasly didn't. They'll be getting the blue flags now. They already have the blue flags waved at them, but what Perez gets is another little dose of DRS down this straight. Now, if the back markers do keep out of the way, and Pierre Gasly does on this occasion, that will help Perez. But he's now right up on the rear wing of Alex Albon, who gets out of the way, and we're down to 2.5 seconds between Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. This is the race for 2nd place. Hamilton hitting and retiring. It's the first mechanical failure for Mercedes in 2022.
Poor Lewis.
Hamilton then out of the race, and Sebastian Vettel moves up into the points as a result of it.
Pretty extraordinary that line. First mechanical failure of a 22 race season. 2 cars.
We're looking at the battle here, Martin, for 2nd place. But Sebastian Vettel, if he can get past Daniel Ricciardo, that would give Aston Martin 6th place in the Constructors' Championship and $12 million to go with it. So there's a couple of things to try and keep an eye on here, but the big headline will be who's going to finish runner-up to Max Verstappen.
Yeah, the 18 is retired.
A Red Bull 1-2. There is our race leader heading into the chicane. Behind him is teammate in hot pursuit, Behind him,
Pursuit.
Valtteri Bottas as Zhou Guanyu having a right old scrap with Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? All for second place in the World Championship. They've both declared and demonstrated how much it means to each of them to finish second to Verstappen this year. And it's
all right, so we're coming to the final lap.
To do in a lap and a half for Sergio Perez.
But those tyres have been on Charles Leclerc's Ferrari for an awful lot longer. Is there life left in
I got a new
tyres?
fog
Charles
machine.
Leclerc pitted on lap 21. Sergio Perez, lap 33. There's a 12-lap difference. Leclerc hanging this out and hanging it out really well, but will it be enough? And on this lap,
all right, white flag.
Only because Perez hasn't had the DRS. He's got a huge amount to do on the final lap of the final race this season.
Leclerc wide in the last corner.
So this is for the second place in the
track limits to get
Drivers' Championship. It looks like Leclerc's got it, but
Max Verstappen
there's a shot.
in front on this final lap.
It's never over till it's over.
Has been out in front for pretty much all this season. It started well for Ferrari, didn't it? Winning 2 of the first 3 races while Red Bull had mechanical issues, but once Red Bull got going, there was no stopping them. Nicholas Latifi has retired in his final race for
Nicholas
Williams.
Latifi is done.
Formula 1 too. Verstappen a long way clear. Perez not making the impression he wants on Leclerc so far. Just 0.3 of a second on this lap. He's not had the DRS. He's gone deep into that chicane too. Leclerc holding on quite nicely. Ferrari, this will mean a huge amount. They've had disappointment, of course, in recent seasons where they haven't been really matching the expectations of the Tifosi this year. To finish second in the Constructors' Championship, to finish second in the Drivers' Championship, that is a partial return to form for the prancing horse, and Sergio Perez is not making that move that Red Bull thought he could on Charles Leclerc. They went to a 2-stop strategy. Leclerc has hung it out really well, but approaching
so Max Verstappen wins in Abu Dhabi. Ferrari wins in Abu Dhabi.
Max Verstappen wins.
That's not true.
The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, 15 wins in a season. That is the new benchmark for the rest to challenge. Charles Leclerc comes home to take second place ahead of Sergio Perez. Ferrari get that
15 wins
in both Constructors and Drivers' Championships. Perez has to settle for a podium, but no runners-up spot for him. Carlos Sainz takes 4th place ahead of George Russell and Lando Norris. And looking now at the rest, Daniel Ricciardo under huge pressure from Sebastian Vettel, and this is going to go all the way to the wire as well. And
so Vettel did get
gonna be
points.
crucial. There's $12 million on Sebastian Vettel trying to overtake Daniel Ricciardo here. $12 million if they can get extra points at Aston Martin to see if they can get above Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Championship. Ocon has finished 7th, Norris 6th. Stroll will come home to finish 8th. Is it Ricciardo or Vettel, 9th or 10th? Both drivers leaving us at the end of this season. Ricciardo potentially to go to a reserve driver at Red Bull. Sebastian Vettel waving goodbye to Formula 1 and giving us thrills and excitement right to the checkered flag. Is he going to get past
Daniel Ricciardo gets 9th.
It's going to be close. Ricciardo takes that 9th place. Sebastian Vettel scores 10th in his final race. And well, what did he say? Remember these times, they might not last forever. Sebastian, thank you. The memories definitely will.
His final World Championship point then.
That was sublime. Which is actually a perfect way to sum up this season, Max. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing race, and well managed GP tyres are holding on really well, so great job to everyone. What an amazing season we've had. Unbelievable.
Very, very good job, Max. Well done. As GP said, they've had an amazing way to round off what's been a beautiful year. Well done.
Yeah, we can all be very, very proud. How did Checo end up?
Just 1.3 behind. 1.3 behind Leclerc.
That's close.
Yes, in the end, the points in Sao Paulo didn't make the difference. But Max Verstappen, I honestly think that this race did sum up this season. Max Verstappen dominating the race, out in front by a country mile, and the scrap was over second place.
We're doing burnouts.
Traditional end of season donuts on the
We
grid.
got Max Verstappen doing his burnouts for his race win and his championship. We got Leclerc doing burnouts for the Constructors' Championship.
We got it.
I don't know why fucking Sergio's doing burnouts.
Good job, guys. Good race. Really good race.
Cracking way for Leclerc finished the year, and of course they don't need these gearboxes and rare drive shafts and tyres and engines anymore. The season is over. Nobody's counting them now in terms of needing them for the next Grand Prix or whatever. So they're allowed to do some donuts.
The golden crash helmet for the man who had the golden touch in 2022. Max Verstappen.
Fog, yes, we got it back.
Circuit for 3 years in a row, for the first time in his career, and a 15th win of the campaign too.
Yeah, he had that covered every which way, didn't he, with Max Verstappen?
The fight was for the runners-up spot. There really was no fights for the lead here today. But Ferrari, with their best finish at Yas Marina since 2018, second place in the Constructors' Championship, I think they'll be happy, certainly with that.
There's no such thing as copyright.
But they hold off McLaren, of course, for fourth.
F1 doesn't copyright my streams, which is weird.
And Sebastian
My finale stream from last year never got claimed, and my stream from last week never got claimed, so I'm fine.
Well, it's Sebastian Vettel's turn now.
Sebastian Vettel's doing burnouts to send off his career.
That got Alfa Romeo an extra $12 million. He gave it everything, Martin, right to the last, but you really would expect nothing else at this point.
Why did last year get taken down at the end? What are you talking about? That never happened.
Emerging from the smoke of the tyres and the donuts in India, got on his knees and bowed down to his Red Bull car.
What a great send-off.
Thanks, Ed. You've been a true champion for Red Bull, for Formula One, and for yourself too. I asked him a couple of days ago, did you finish fixing that bike you were working on, that classic bike? Or is that what you're going to do next week? He went, well, I've done one of them, I've got another to do.
I think he's got quite a collection.
Yeah.
He's going to turn up to a few auctions.
Well, as one champion departs the grid, another champion walks onto it to talk to our top three tonight.
Checo. I mean, it looked like a tough race out there for you, and you missed out on that P2 by one point. How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's how it is. Sometimes everything can be really close, but at the end of the day, I gotta be happy. You know, I gave it all. As a team, we gave it all through the season, and I'm sure we will come back stronger for next year.
Yeah, I mean, this season, there's been a lot of ups and downs for you. Yesterday looked great in qualifying. For me, it just felt that you a little bit more and you would have had that pole position and we could have had a very different story. But what positives can you really take from the 2022 season?
Well, certainly,
It did?
we had great
Really?
defense, great battling.
I don't remember that.
I think I did struggle a bit with these tires for this year, you know, in terms of managing the tires.
I mean, I have no claims on it, so.
So hopefully that can be something that we will improve for next year, and generally you'll be a bit stronger.
Excellent, Checo. Well, enjoy the winter and look forward to you giving it a bit more next year.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Checo.
And you're Charles Leclerc.
Charles, it looks like it took a lot out of you, that race.
Yeah, it did. I was 110% from the first lap to the last lap. Honestly, we had the perfect race for us. There was not much more today. I knew that the only possibility for us to beat Checo today was with a different strategy and playing with the time management, which we did really well today. And we managed to make the one-stop
Donkey
work.
Seb.
So
I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, it looked like it was a big strategy.
apparently that means something.
Great to see them making really positive.
I saw that on his car.
You in the championship. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I really hope next year we can do a step forward in order to fight for the championship. But considering where we were last year, it's a really big step forward.
Thanks,
I think we
Seb.
improved towards the end of the season in terms of strategy. We still need to work in terms of race pace because coming the Sunday we seem to struggle a bit more. But we'll push during the winter break in order to catch them back a little bit.
Cheers, Charles.
Thank you.
Max.
Everyone's booing Max.
Victory.
Some people are.
World champion, win the last race of the season. Seems like it's the perfect season for you.
Yeah, it was a good race. You know, it was all about tire management. I think we looked after the mediums quite well, and then on the hard tires was literally managing from lap 1 to the end. But incredible, you know, to win again here, and 15 win of the season is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been an outstanding year for you. What do you take from such a special year? Obviously, last year it was a little bit more competitive with fighting with Lewis for the championship, but this year you've walked away with it.
It's been really enjoyable, you know, to work with the whole team and to be able to achieve something like this year. I know it's going to be hard to replicate something like this, but it's also very good motivation to try and do well again next year.
Yeah, and it's great. You know, there's some real true fighters on the grid, and you've done all you can with what you've been given. So congratulations. Enjoy your winter.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
All right.
Cheers.
Well, Max Verstappen, popular with those fans. Not popular, it seems, with everybody here tonight. This man, though.
Alright, Sebastian Vettel's speech. It's time for that.
Congratulations, Seb. 4 world championships, and you scored points in your last race. How are you feeling?
Yeah, well, you know how it is. I wish it would have been a couple of more points. But yeah, I enjoyed the race. I think it was a bit of a different warm-up today to get into the race. But once the lights go off, it's full-on race mode. I think we, about today, obviously didn't go for maybe the best strategy. So it was a shame because I think we could have turned the Constructors' Championship around.
Can I put up a pic of Vettel on the screen?
Yeah, overall, obviously, a big day and a big thank you to all the support. So many flags, so many smiling
Look at this
faces,
handsome
which,
gentleman.
Has been very, very special, very nice, and yeah, I'm sure I'm going to miss more than I understand right now. Yeah.
But just talking about the race today, you looked like you were fighting with the Alpines. It looked like you could have finished so much higher, and it just went away from you guys. It seemed very
yeah,
strange.
but obviously we then opted to stay out, and you know, once the tires were getting older, we were going backwards. But once we committed to the one stop, I think that was it. But it was obviously the slower strategy today, so not so enjoyable when you're in the car and you're going backwards. I was fighting through the people, had a nice battle with Daniel, but just couldn't get close enough. But yeah, I think it's nice to also, with him, to fight the last couple of laps and, you know, both of us finishing in the points. So yeah, it's been a big weekend.
You have the microphone. Please leave us with a message.
I don't have that much more to say. I feel a bit empty, to be honest. It's been a big weekend. But I can only repeat, you know, I think the last 2 years have been very, maybe disappointing from a sporting point of view, but very, very useful and important to me in my life. A lot of things happened, a lot of things that I realized. I think it's a huge privilege being in the position that we are in, and with that comes some responsibility. So I hope to pass on a little bit to the other drivers to carry on some of the good work. It's great to see that, you know, we have the power to inspire you with what we do and what we say. So I think there's far bigger and far more important things than racing in circles. But obviously it's what we love, and through that, if we can transfer some of the really important values, that's big. And I think for that, the last 2 years have been great for me. So thank you for the support, thank you for all the messages, the letters, and all the love in general. So yeah, I will miss that, but it's been an absolute joy, you know, throughout my career. So thank you.
Well, he's absolutely right, Martin. As he says, racing around in circles, it's not going to change the world, but if you set the right example, show the right message.
All right, I'm gonna let this get to 2 hours, and then I'm gonna end it.
It is. It's been a wonderful send-off. Like I said, it's had a finality to it, hasn't it? I haven't witnessed anything that suggests to me this is just a temporary farewell, but then I'm sure others thought that as well, like a Niki Lauda, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Räikkönen. They came back, but this
Bye, Seb.
moving on, and I think
4 times. So this is the final racing stream for the year. I mean, I'll be back for the Clash in February, and then we'll be doing all the Cup races and Xfinity and trucks. Hopefully most of the Xfinity and trucks. But definitely all the Cup races besides the ones I'll be at. But yeah, guys, goodbye, Seb. F1's not as good as NASCAR, but hey, it's all right. It's fun. We have fun here. I'll probably do some streams during the break, just for the hell of it. But yeah, I want to thank y'all for watching, and peace out.